Today I'm going to go over another great chess game. This game was played in the 1959 Candace tournament, and in this game I'm going to discuss the concept of a trapped piece in chess. If you can trap your opponent's piece, you can make it appear as if he's down material and will have a much easier time winning the game. At the white side of this is Tigran Petrosian, and Robert James Fischer is playing the black side. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. After d4, we see knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, e3, d5. And we have the Nimzo-Indian Rubinstein variation being played here. After a3, bishop to d6, knight f3, castles, c5, bishop to e7, and b4. So if we take a look at this game so far, we can see that Petrosian does have a greater spatial control in the center of the board and also on the queen side. In return though, Fischer has greater development, so the position is about equal. Both players do have a bishop, Fischer on c8 and Petrosian on c1 that is essentially trapped inside of the pawn structure. Both players also have a great square for the knights, Fischer on e4, Petrosian on e5. Fischer goes ahead and plays the knight out to e4, which is a great move here. After knight e4, we see bishop to b2, knight d7, bishop d3, f5, and Fischer essentially adopts a Dutch stonewall structure here, which is extremely solid pawn formation. This pawn triangle here in the center. Petrosian continues with knight e2, bishop f6, white goes ahead and castles, black plays queen e7, and then we see knight e5, which is an excellent move. And in the actual game, Fischer goes ahead and captures this knight. It looks like a good idea because Fischer's knight on d7 is a bit passive, white's knight on e5 is really well placed, controlling a lot of space, so it does make sense to trade off a more passive piece for a more active one. However, this allows Petrosian to trap Fischer's bishop and win the game. Better yet would have been to play g6, and I'll come back to that here in a moment and explain why g6 is better. After knight takes e5, Petrosian captures back with the pawn. Bishop g5 is forced. And we see here that this knight on e4, it did have a good retreating square on g5. So in case this knight is ever attacked by a pawn, such as f3, it could retreat to g5. However, after Fischer captures on e5, white takes back, this bishop is forced to move to g5, which takes away an important retreating square from this knight on e4. The knight is now at the risk of being trapped. Luckily though, f3 here is not possible because bishop takes e3 would win at least a pawn. So therefore, Petrosian must prepare f2, f3 and plays bishop out to d4, guarding this e3 pawn so that f3 can be played on the next move, trapping black's knight. And this was a reason why I think g6 would have been better before taking on e5. That way this bishop could have retreated to g7, allowing knight to g5. But since g6 wasn't played, the bishop was forced to go to g5, and now Fischer is in a really bad position. This bishop on d4 actually has three threats. First of all, like we just discussed, it threatens to trap this knight on e4 by guarding the e3 pawn. It also threatens to play c6, and then after f3, kicking this knight back, bishop out to c5 is possible, skewering the queen and the rook, essentially winning the exchange. And here, if maybe b6 is played, then b5 traps the bishop on c8 and prevents it from participating in the actual game. After bishop to d4, black tries bishop h6, f3, knight g5, and now we see c6 being played. So either the rook is going to be lost, or rather exchanged for the bishop, or this bishop on c8 is going to be trapped. In the actual game, Fischer tries b6. Let's look at some other possibilities. If black tries to get the queen out of the way, maybe queen f7, looks like a good idea. Just leaving the pawn structure as it is. However, this does allow the knight on g5 to be captured with a move like h4. So therefore, if black instead tries queen e8, then bishop c5 is going to again win the exchange because rook to f7 would drop the knight. So therefore, the best chance might be to play queen out to d8, but here bishop out to c5 attacking the rook, rook e8, and then bishop to b5 threatens to take the pawn, forking the bishop and rook, and opening up a discovered attack of bishop on the e8 rook. So white here is going to win at least the exchange anyway. So that was probably Fischer's best chance, was to go down the exchange, but instead he tries b6, and now this bishop becomes trapped and is unable to participate in the rest of the game. This gives Petrosian a clear advantage. After these series of moves, Fischer tries knight f7 to build up an attack on the queen side, or rather on the king side. Queen h4, rook a1, knight g5, queen e1, opting to trade off the queens. Fischer declines, queen h7. Then we see rook a7 going after the c7 pawn, and Fischer has a very difficult time defending everything. Queen g6 was tried with the idea of knight takes f3 check, picking up the queen. That's easily defended though with king h1, queen h5, f4, knight e4, rook takes c7, g5, bishop takes b6, and we can see that black has lost 2 pawns on the queen side thanks to the inability of this bishop to come out and help defend. The position is going to quickly fall apart from here. King h8 is tried, and after that Petrosian goes ahead and trades off this centerpiece to take away one of Fischer's attacking pieces. And after bishop c5 we see rook g8, and here Fischer goes ahead and resigns in light of b6, b7, and b8 being played. So a really amazing game played by Petrosian in the 1959 Candace tournament, and this game illustrates how easy it is to win if you can trap your opponent's piece and prevent it from participating in the game.